The last lesson that we're going to cover in this unit on linear equations is basically an introduction to functions. So really, function is an interesting word, but it's something that you've been working with the whole time that you've been in Algebra 2 and a bit in Algebra 1 as well. So we need to start off with a little bit of vocabulary. Now first, you know that a variable is the unknown. And we use those variables in equations. And an equation is a math saying with an equal sign. Every time we deal with an equation, we're connecting variables together, usually more than one. In particular, we've talked a lot about linear equations. And a linear equation, the first four letters of linear spell line. So a linear equation makes a line when you graph it. And basically, it connects two variables. So a generic word for a connection between variables is called a relation. So a relation is any association, any relationship, any connection between x and y. And a function, which we're talking about today, is a specific type of relation. Such that each x produces exactly one y. And what that means is that when we do something to the x, so for example, maybe we square the x, one y comes out. So in other words, when I put 4 into x squared, it's always going to give me 16. It's not sometimes going to give me 10 and other times give me 8. In other words, putting an x into the function produces a y that I can count on. Okay? So a little more vocabulary here. Within functions, we have a domain, which represents the set of all x values. And we have a range, which corresponds to all possible y values. So usually, a problem is going to ask you, given this domain, to figure out what a specific range would be. So let's look a little bit at a problem like that. So this problem looks really complicated, but it's actually really easy. So this capital letter here stands for the name of the function. We're going to call this function capital F. The lowercase x tells us what the variable is that we're trying to figure out. This part right here is telling us what we're doing to the variable. And over here, it tells us what our possible x values are. So this is our domain. So this is one way of writing a function. It's called function notation. We can also write this like this. So replacing what used to be our y right here, so this is actually a line, this is a linear equation. Replacing our y, we would say this in words f of x. And what that means is the function, capital F, in the variable x is 3 minus 2x. Okay? So really what you need to familiarize yourself with here is more terminology than anything else. All this question is asking for is for us to produce the range. And the way we're going to do that is with a t-chart, like what we've seen in previous lessons. So let's do that. So I'm going to put x on the left-hand side, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write what my actual function is. The x column is going to be filled up with your domain. So you're not making any choices in x, they're already chosen for you. And now we're going to figure out the range by plugging in the x into our function. So the first one, 3 minus 2 times 0 equals 3. 3 minus 2 times 1, that's 3 minus 2, equals 1. The next one's 2. 3 minus 2 times 2 equals negative 1. And then finally, 3 minus 2 times 3, that's 3 minus 6, is negative 3. So our function values, our range values for this function are 3, 1, negative 3. And you can write those in curly brackets, like this. Or you can just simply leave them in the chart. Either way will work for us. So that's a brief introduction into functions. You're going to see some more functions later on as we approach different types of problems.